The first way to get focus is to find purpose. When you are struggling with what to do, who you are, what's your next move, you are in an identity crisis. See, you have not discovered who you are. You have to discover who you are in order to move you forward. When you get up in the morning, you walk out your door, you have a destination. If you go outside with no destination, you wander around. You are going to wander around. You cannot get in your car without a destination. So you are in an identity crisis, the same thing I was in. So you have to find your purpose.
If we get what is ours too soon, we cannot handle it. Lord, don't give me more than I can handle. You know when to bless me. You know when I'm ready. Teach me patience with the process. Go through the process.
There are a lot of people who say, but I tried once and it didn't work out. And so they use that as an excuse not to ever come out again. At first, you don't succeed. You're running about average. So if you have come out here with an idea and it didn't work out, well, that's all right. You're running about average. Why is it that people prefer known hells to unknown heavens? Because it's comfortable, ladies and gentlemen.
Imagine this solemn funeral procession on their way to the burial grounds, all the weeping, mourning, everyone stepping out of the way respectfully. Then Jesus meets the woman, raises the little boy. They don't continue on to the cemetery. They don't keep going to the burial plot. They turn around and go back into the city. People start asking, why are you back so soon? Why didn't you bury him? They answer, there's no need. We had a turnaround. Something unexpectedly changed in our favor. We all have these situations at times that look dead. Dreams we've given up on. Promises that seem like it's too late. God is saying, I'm going to bring dead things back to life. There are going to be turnarounds that leave you in awe. You left defeated, but you're going to come back victorious. You thought your business was dead. God's about to surprise you. Increase is coming. Favor is coming. New clients are coming. You thought you'd have to live with that sickness, just manage that depression. No, a turnaround is coming. God's about to do something out of the ordinary, something supernatural. Like these people, you're going to be in awe, amazed at the greatness of our God. I met a man that was very healthy, had a great family, successful career, but in his mid-50s, he had what appeared to be a massive stroke and was left brain dead. His family was so distraught. The neurosurgeon was a close friend of the family and a leading expert. He said, unfortunately, there's nothing we could do. There was no brain activity. He was on a breathing machine that was keeping him alive. Family made arrangements to have his organs donated. They said their goodbyes. They were told once they took out the tube, he would stop breathing on his own in a couple of minutes. They removed the life support. The family waited for him to pass, but he kept breathing on his own. The doctor said that wasn't completely uncommon. It was just a matter of time. So the family went home and started making plans for the funeral. A few hours later, the nurse frantically called and said, you have to get up here. He woke up. He's talking. He wants something to eat. The doctors had no explanation. Today, he's totally fine. God has the final say. And yes, at some point, I know we're all going to pass, but it's not over until God says it's over. They went from making plans for a funeral to making plans for dinner that night. From great sorrow to great joy. We serve a turnaround God. You may have gone through disappointments, a rough childhood. The pandemic set you back. Now you feel that heaviness, lost your passion. You think this is all you have to look forward to. No, there's a turnaround coming. Something unexpected that's going to change in your favor. This is what happened with a young lady in the scripture named Ruth. Her husband was killed. She never dreamed she would be a widow at such a young age. You can imagine the heartache, the sadness. Her mother-in-law, Naomi, was a widow as well. She moved back with Naomi to Bethlehem to help take care of her. Every morning, Ruth would go out into the fields and pick up leftover wheat that the workers had missed. This is how she and Naomi survived. They were barely making it. They had no income. They were heartbroken. It looked like lack, struggle, loneliness. was all Ruth had to look forward to. But one morning, the owner of the field noticed Ruth. He told his workers to leave handfuls on purpose for Ruth. He didn't speak to Ruth. He spoke to someone to be good to Ruth. You don't know who God is speaking to right now to be good to you. You don't think you have the connections. You feel stuck, alone. God is speaking to people about you. You're going to come into these handfuls on purpose. Now Ruth had more wheat than she could use. Wasn't a struggle. She gathered it up in a fraction of the time. And if the story stopped here, it'd be a great story. God took care of Ruth. But when God turns things around, He pays you back for what wasn't fair. He brings you out better. The owner of that field fell in love with Ruth. They ended up getting married. Now she didn't have to work in the fields. She owned the fields. God turned the lack into abundance, turned her loneliness, being a widow at a young age, to marrying a successful, godly man. They had a baby that they named Obed. Obed had a son that he named Jesse. Jesse had a son he named David. Ruth was the great-grandmother of the greatest king that ever lived. God knows how to turn sorrow into joy, how to turn mourning into dancing. You may have been through loss, things that weren't fair. You could easily live discouraged, thinking you've seen your best days. If you only knew what God was up to. He has turnarounds in your future that are so awesome, you won't think about what you've lost. You'll be so blessed, so happy, so fulfilled, you don't look back. You keep moving forward in faith, filled with gratitude, thanking God for what He's done. I talked to a single parent mother. She was struggling to make ends meet, working 2 jobs, long hours. She felt bad that she couldn't be there with her children. On top of that, she had no time for herself to date or have any kind of social life. It looked like that's the way it would always be. She couldn't see anything changing. But just because you don't see it doesn't mean that God is not up to something. You don't know who He's speaking to about you, what He's lining up to come your way. You keep being faithful, and like Ruth, you're going to come in to handfuls on purpose. Blessings, healing, relationships that you didn't see coming. One day, a neighbor invited this young lady and her children over for dinner. She had only met this couple one time. At dinner that night, they told her what a great mother she was, how she was such a hard worker. Then they said, "We want to do something to make your life a little easier." They handed her the keys to a brand new car. She didn't see that coming. She couldn't believe it. She was able to sell her car, pay off her debts, not have to work so much. About a year later, she met this executive from a large company. Today she's happily married. Her children are flourishing. I saw them after a service. She said, "I never dreamed I could be this blessed, this fulfilled." That's the God of a turnaround. You may be in a season of struggle, season of hardship, where you're working long hours, doing your best to provide, but nothing is improving. You don't see how it will ever change. God is watching you. He sees your sacrifice. He sees you going the extra mile. You're going to come in to these turnaround moments where God is going to turn the struggle into ease, turn the lack into abundance, turn the sorrow into joy, turn the injustice, what you didn't get, what wasn't fair, into fulfillment, into purpose, into a blessed, satisfied life. I was at an amusement park with my children one time, and we were in line for this very popular ride. It was all single file at first, but when you got close to the front, you go into this room that's about 20 feet by 20 feet and wait. We were the first ones in the room, so we walked toward the front. Other people started coming in and maneuvering their ways around us, mainly kids. I'm more laid back. I wasn't going to get in there and stand my ground, fight to stay in the front. So we ended up at the very back of the room. In a few minutes, a lady came out, stood at the front, told what was going on, gave instructions about the ride. There were two big doors up at the front. That's where everyone had crowded up to. We were standing at the doors where you come in. She said, okay, we're ready to go. Everyone turn around and go back out the same doors you came in. All of a sudden, instead of being at the back of the line, we were at the front. You may feel like you're falling behind. Everyone's getting ahead of you. You had bad breaks. People are manipulating things. Don't worry, a turnaround is coming. God knows how to take you from the back to the front, from being overlooked to standing out, from working in those fields like Ruth to owning those fields. You are coming in to a turnaround season. Things you couldn't make happen, the turnaround God is about to make happen. Even right now, He's turning sickness into health. He's turning borrowing into lending, turning sorrow. sorrows into joy, turning addictions into freedom. What's hindered you in the past is not permanent. That trouble at work is about to turn. That child that's off course is about to turn. That depression you've been dealing with is about to turn around. This is a new day. Forces that have held you back are being broken. I believe and declare what Zephaniah prophesied. Everything you've lost will be restored. Instead of shame, you will have honor. Burdens you've carried are being lifted. People that have hindered you are being moved out of the way. The sick are being healed. The prodigals are coming home. You will be respected everywhere you go. It's turnaround time